A single baseball jersey is about to sell for over $100,000, and it's not because of a championship game. It was worn before the rings, before the record-breaking contract, before everything changed for Shohei Ohtani. And that's exactly why collectors are rushing in, because this jersey captures a moment most people forgot, right before history was rewritten.
やめましょう。
Before the championships and before the headlines about a $700 million deal, Shohei Ohtani was doing something almost impossible, carrying a franchise without ever getting the final reward. During his time with the Los Angeles Angels, Ohtani wasn't just a star, he was the entire show, pitching like an ace one night, then launching home runs the next, all while the postseason stayed just out of reach. That contrast is what makes this era so unforgettable. Historic numbers, global attention, yet no World Series appearances to seal it. Every season felt like watching greatness unfold in real time, without the ending fans expected. And that's why moments from this chapter carry so much weight now, because before the rings and before the $700 million, Ohtani's legacy was being built the hard way, one game at a time. That jersey didn't become valuable by accident. It was forged on one unforgettable night. On August 3, 2023, Shohei Ohtani stepped onto the field wearing Angels colors and delivered a performance that perfectly captured why baseball had never seen anything like him before. Against the Seattle Mariners, he crushed his 40th home run of the season, a milestone most players spend their entire careers chasing. But he wasn't done. That same night, Ohtani took the mound and recorded 4 strikeouts, reminding everyone that he wasn't just a power hitter having a good year, he was still dominating from both sides of the game in a way that defied logic. That combination, power at the plate and control on the mound, is what turned an ordinary uniform into a piece of history. It wasn't just a jersey from a random game, it was worn during a moment that summed up Ohtani's once-in-a-generation talent. And that's why this night didn't just live in the box score, it lived on in fabric. At first glance, it looks like a regular Angels jersey, but this one is anything but ordinary. What sets it apart is proof. This jersey was game-worn, not staged, not signed afterward for display. It carries the wear and details that collectors look for: the official team logo, the advertising patch, and the verified Nike MLB inventory sticker that confirms exactly when and where it was used. Those details matter. In the memorabilia world, authenticity is everything. Anyone can frame a clean jersey. Very few can own one that was actually worn during a historic moment by Shohei Ohtani. And the timing makes it even rarer. This uniform comes from the final stretch of his Angels era, right before his career took a dramatic turn. It represents the peak of his two-way dominance, frozen in time. That's why collectors aren't just buying fabric, they're buying verification, history, and a moment that can never be recreated, which helps explain why the price keeps climbing. The moment this jersey hit the auction list, collectors stopped scrolling. According to Heritage Auctions, bidding for this piece is expected to climb past $100,000, and that's before things even get competitive. The auction officially opens on February 6th, but interest started building weeks earlier. And that reaction isn't hype, it's strategy. Serious collectors understand timing. This jersey isn't from Ohtani's Dodgers championship era, when memorabilia became more common. It's from before everything changed, when moments like this were rare and impossible to recreate. That scarcity is what drives prices through the roof. Once an athlete's legacy is cemented, early artifacts become untouchable. And with Ohtani's status now locked into baseball history, items from his Angels years are only getting harder to find. That's why this auction isn't just about money, it's about securing a moment before it disappears into private collections forever. And the deeper you look into Ohtani's 2023 season, the clearer it becomes why this jersey carries so much weight. That 2023 season didn't just boost Ohtani's value, it changed how people talk about baseball. Night after night, Shohei Ohtani was doing things that sounded made up. He became the first player ever to record 10 or more pitching wins and 30 or more home runs in the same season. That wasn't a hot streak, that was history. And it didn't stop there. He went on to win the MVP, not because of one highlight, but because there was no way to explain his impact without giving him the award. Pitcher, power hitter, franchise centerpiece, all in one roster spot. He also became the first Japanese-born player to lead Major League Baseball in home runs, turning every game into a global event. Fans weren't just watching from the US anymore, they were watching from everywhere. That's what made this season so different. It wasn't just dominant, it reset expectations for what a single player could be. But even with all of that, the records, the awards, the attention, there was still something missing, and that absence would end up shaping everything that came next. For all his history he made, one thing kept slipping through his fingers. During his time with the Angels, Shohei Ohtani never reached the World Series. No parade, no ring, just seasons filled with individual brilliance and team results that fell short when it mattered most. It was a rare situation where a player could do everything right and still walk away empty-handed. For Ohtani, it wasn't about effort or talent, it was about circumstance. Baseball is a team game, and even historic performances can't overcome the wrong situation. And that reality made his future impossible to ignore, because eventually, greatness demands a stage worthy of it. And when that moment finally came, it changed everything. That turning point came faster than anyone expected. In December 2023, Shohei Ohtani made the decision that reshaped baseball overnight. He signed a record-breaking $700 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers, instantly ending years of speculation about where his career was headed. It wasn't just a payday, it was a reset. After years of historic performances without postseason success, Ohtani finally landed in a situation built to win. The pressure changed, the expectations skyrocketed, and the spotlight grew even brighter. What followed only cemented the decision. With a championship-caliber roster around him, Ohtani's talent translated into the one thing that had always been missing: titles. The Dodgers went on to capture back-to-back World Series championships, instantly rewriting the final chapter of his story. And that's what comes before that deal suddenly means so much more than anyone imagined. Everything changed the moment the deal became official. In December 2023, Shohei Ohtani signed a $700 million contract with the Los Angeles Dodgers, the largest deal professional sports had ever seen. Overnight, the conversation around him shifted from what if to what's next. This wasn't just a payday, it was a reset. After years of historic performances without postseason success, Ohtani finally landed in a situation built to win. The pressure changed, the expectations skyrocketed, and the spotlight grew even brighter. What followed only cemented the decision. With a championship-caliber roster around him, Ohtani's talent translated into the one thing that had always been missing: titles. The Dodgers went on to capture back-to-back World Series championships, instantly rewriting the final chapter of his story. And that's what makes this turning point so important. Once the rings arrived, everything before this moment became history. The struggle years, the near misses, the Angels era. Which is why artifacts from just before that deal, like this jersey, suddenly mean so much more than anyone imagined. That's what makes this jersey more than just memorabilia. It represents a moment frozen in time, when Shohei Ohtani was already rewriting baseball history, but before championships and record-breaking contracts defined his legacy. Before the rings, before the $700 million, Ohtani's legacy was being built the hard way, before everything changed. This jersey captures the version of Ohtani that fans watched in real time, dominant, unstoppable, and still chasing the one thing that hadn't come yet. It's a reminder of how rare that moment was and how quickly it passed. For the collector who wins the bid, they're not just taking home fabric stitched with numbers and logos, they're owning a chapter of the story that can never be replayed. Because once greatness is complete, the moments leading up to it become priceless.
Quero dizer, no geral não foi diferente dos últimos dias de treino, mas assim que vesti minha nova camisa, a camisa dos Angels, senti que esse seria um novo ano e eu teria que ter um bom desempenho e ajudar o time a vencer.